Hello everybody, welcome to today's video where I will finally be explaining how my stackable inventory system works. Now I know it's been quite a while, 3 weeks. I haven't been able to upload that much, but I finally got a chance. Also, thank you so much for putting in the time to watch the video. This is now the most popular video on my channel, so I really appreciate that. But without further ado, let's begin. First off, I just want to say, quick thing I messed up is in the last episode, I accidentally left this as an inventory. You want to make sure you set that to an inventory stacking. But anyways, let's finally get to explaining how this entire system works. First off, this is how the system stacks. Alright? So, when the green flag is clicked, it prepares the inventory by deleting all of it and then replacing it with nothing, so that it is all ready, as you can see. And then it is going to forever check stacking. Now this is just making sure that all of the numbers are proper, because let's say if I go here and I add 7, like this, what can happen is when you move this, that will remain as a 1. And the check stacking makes sure that if there isn't actually something there, it sets that 1 to a 0, so that everything is fixed and proper. So it checks it by setting a check stack number, which is checking the stack number and that position, and it repeats the entire inventory's length. That is going to change it by 1, representing each individual position in the list. And then it checks if that item contains 0, but the item checks in the inventory does not contain 0. And that just means that there isn't an item there, but the number is there. And if that is the case, then it replaces that item with 0 in order to fix everything. Moving on, when I receive open inventory, it basically makes this stack, which when clicked will go down a little bit in size, nothing big. But it switches that costume and it sets its X and Y coordinates on the screen, and then it's going to create a clone of itself. Because as you can see, this is always hiding. So, when I receive delete, this is basically when the inventory is closed, then it deletes that clone, because we don't want it sticking around after the inventory. So now we have our forever loop here. Basically, it shows, and then it says, well, it checks if it is touching the mouse pointer. If it is, then if the mouse is down, it does the changing size to be a bit smaller to give it a little pop. And then, if the costume name is equal to stack, then it's going to set the item number to 1. So it's going to set the item number to 1, which is basically how this checks. The item number is the item here. So this has an item number of, if we go to our inventory list, it has an item number of 7. So this basically runs through all of the items in the inventory list, checking if it is there and if it needs to be stacked together or not. Then it's going to repeat 8 times that it stacks the inventory items, so it runs all of that code. Then it's going to change the item number by 1 so that it can run the next item, and then it's going to broadcast move text so that all of the text shows a 0 and stuff. So to run through this, we're going to probably have lots of trouble explaining this, but it's going to set a check stacks, which is checking whether something needs to be stacked or not. Alright? Now it's going to repeat the length of the inventory, so it's going to check the entire inventory, and it's going to check if that specific slot contains an item. Now if it does contain an item, the specific item number, then it's going to set the item amount to 0, and this is going to check to make sure that everything is it's going to check to make sure that there aren't any more of that item in the inventory by setting the item amount. Now repeating the length of the inventory minus the check stacks, so that it repeats the rest of the inventory, is going to change check stacks by 1. And then if that item contains the item number, if that slot in the inventory contains that item number, it changes the item amount by 1, so that we know how much we should stack. And then replaces that item in the inventory with nothing. Then it's going to set back to 0, so that now it can run all the way back to the first log. So it's going to repeat the length of the inventory. It's going to change check stacks by 1, and it's going to check until it finds the first log. The first log. If that item in the inventory contains the specified item that we're looking for, then that means it has found the original log that was not deleted, which is going to insert in the inventory stacking so that we know the stack number. It's going to insert the item amount plus whatever was there before. Because if we have this, then this would be a 3, and if we want to put them together, we don't want it that this is just a 3 or like a 1 or something. We want it that it's put together and we don't end up losing the number that was already there. So it adds that and it puts it at the check stacks position, and then it's going to delete it plus 1 because it's inserting it. And when you insert something, if I were to insert 1 at 1, then you'll see that the 7 is going to move down, as you can see. And so that's why you need to do it check stacks plus 1 in the inventory so that everything is correct. So that is basically how the system works for checking the stacking. Moving on to the text engine. This one isn't very complicated. So first off, we have a when I start this clone, it sets up the clone. This is Pixel Destroyer's system for text, but we have a when I receive clear text. This is just clearing every single bit of text, and I used this for NPCs, but it does work out with the system. When I receive delete, this is just deleting all of the text when the inventory closes. Now when I receive move text, what this is doing is it is clearing all of the text, then it's waiting, and then it's creating the text again. So that's what it does. When you receive open inventory, it's going to create the numbers. Now it creates all of the specific numbers at the specific position, and then it does text engine craft stack number, which is this one, because there's only 30 slots in my inventory, and then this is the craft stack number, and it goes to all of the positions using the text engine piece. So as you can see, it uses a lot of clones, 63 clones. But let's continue to our inventory. So I'm only going to be explaining the code that I placed in. So let's start off. We have this piece which sets the craft stack number to 0, so that this is a 0 whenever possible. Alright, that's what the set craft stack number does. With this, what we've done is we have replaced the items. Now this just makes sure that the numbers also move in the inventory stacking list, so that the clones also move around. I'm going to broadcast the move text so that the clones actually do move around and they don't stay as normal. We're adding an item also adds inventory stacking with 1 and moves the text because we don't want it to start with 0. And then this system right here is going to check if the mouse is touching a specific costume. Then it checks if that item that it is touching is above 1, so that you can't just infinitely unstack items. And it's going to replace that with the same thing basically, but minus 1. And then it's going to broadcast the move text, and then it's going to add 8, because the system tries to add it to the closest location, the closest available slot in the list. And then it runs through with every single costume. Now, if I wanted to, I could create a system like stacking for this, where it runs a repeat loop over all of that, and then just create like a button or something. But the problem with that is that it still limits you to 30 slots, because if you were to unstack, it would limit you on everything. So that's why it's a bit different. And then final bits of code. We got this, which is just setting it to the specific amount. This is sticks, which is why it's ×4. This is kind of based off a Minecraft type thing. We also want to delete all of the inventory stacking this location when it has been crafted. It's going to add a specific costume number, -3, which is just like adding it, but that's more of a fun nut system. It replaces the counter of inventory stacking with a craft stack number. So it's just replacing this with like a 0 and stuff, and it broadcasts the move text. And that's basically how the system works. You can watch Fun Nuts video, it would really help figure things out. Yeah, I will soon be coming out with a tutorial, another tutorial or explaining video for my RPG game, which I'm slowly working on. It's been kind of busy lately, so. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a shorter one, but honestly the code isn't even that complicated. It's not as complicated as Fun Nuts design, and so it's very interesting. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.